welcome to the first ever Big Blanket Podcast Green Screen. Today we're going to talk about the Fact Oscars and some of the Oscar nominations that have been and will be revealed as winners next week. So without further ado, let me introduce my team. We have
Sinead,
Sean,
Tom,
Josh,
and I'm Michael. Well, Sinead works in Fact. Do you want to say anything a little bit about yourself?
no.
Fair dues. Sean.
I work front of house at Picturehouse and occasionally work with Fact on marketing.
Yeah,
do you want to say you?
No, you didn't want me to speak last time, so.
I work as a projectionist in front of house here in Picturehouse.
front of house, that's about it really.
Yeah, he's underselling himself. He's brilliant.
Thank you very much.
So the most coveted prize of the Oscars is most definitely the Best Picture. And up for nomination this year, we've got The Big Short, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max, The Martian, The Revenant, Room and Spotlight. All really good films. I think of all the films, we haven't actually seen Brooklyn, so we can't actually talk about that. But
I haven't seen it yet, but it's coming back to Fact.
it is coming back to Fact for a brief little Oscars window. So go and see it for us and tell us about it. But you have seen Bridge of Spies, Sean.
Yeah, I really like Picture Spies. It's not trying too hard to be big or flashy, do much different or out of the box. It's Spielberg crafting a story around prisoner exchange as the Berlin Wall goes up. So Tom Hanks, fantastic performance. Mark Rylance, great supporting performance from him. The script is kind of buzzes and fizzes a little bit more than I expected it to. There's humour in it as well as the serious parts of the plot and story. I don't think it's necessarily in with the best chance, but it's a really well made film and does its job perfectly.
Yeah, good. Have you seen it?
I have, yeah. Wasn't really that into it. I thought it was just packaged. It was quite like a nicely packaged film. Sort of like Spielberg doing what he does. Just that sort of standard.
It's quite
Standard.
simple.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Josh is someone who always has some things to say about films. What would be your actual Best Picture?
What, that's nominated or should be?
No, it's nominated. We all know what should be. Josh is a big fan of Sicario.
Out now on DVD and Blu-ray actually, so you should definitely buy it.
Go on. Tell us what's your Best Picture. You got.
You know what?
These to choose.
Big Short, definitely not. Bridge of Spies, I haven't seen it.
Just give us one for now, and we can talk about the rest in a minute.
The Revenant.
Revenant. Why The Revenant?
Well, I've been looking forward to it for, it's not very often that you look forward to something for years and it actually lives up and surpasses hype and expectation. I think Inuri 2 is, for me, probably the best that there is at the moment. I think he's kind of pushing the boundaries of what you want from cinema and what you're expecting from film. I don't think that, it's probably the most visceral film I've ever seen. I think it's more than just like a spectacle. I think there's kind of spiritual. I think it kind of goes beyond the boundaries of what perhaps films kind of tending to lean towards, something a bit more generic, but I think it kind of pushes the boundaries a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's certainly a brave film to be making anyway.
Yeah, totally. And the special effects, I think, are just astonishing. It's I think it's up for a few visual effects awards as well.
Yeah, I think was it Chivo Lubisky, the director of photography, I think that if he doesn't win that, him or Deakins, yeah, I think they're the two should be getting that. But.
Cool. Have you seen it, Sinead?
Yes, I would have to agree with Josh. I think that's my film that I would like to win Best Picture. I think it was cinematically perfect, visually perfect. The performances are amazing, and it's just completely gripping all the way through. I think it's been criticised a lot for lacking in dialogue, but I don't think that that's a problem, particularly when the scenery is kind of a character in itself and everything that's going on is so stunning the whole time.
Yeah, I definitely don't think dialogue's necessary when you've got a man who's fighting for his life most of the time on his own. Why would anybody complain about that, you wonder? But I think it's one of the best films out for sure, and I think although it's like a 2.5 hour like epic film, it's still just seemed to fly by for me.
I think it works on the pacing because it kind of, particularly the first time you're watching it, I don't think because it's a long film, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think you kind of feel as if you're going through it. You're like, I think the pacing of it is perfect, but you kind of do feel as if it's not a slog, but kind of, you know, you're going through something with it as well.
Any other shouts for best film? Anyone want to?
I think Big Short or Spotlight might be up for Best Picture in terms of they're an ensemble cast. It's more recent issues. I don't know whether the Academy voters are going to want to acknowledge more recent issues, especially around the controversy that they've had with some of the nominations and lack of nominations in certain areas of diversity. I wouldn't be surprised if they do put Big Short or Spotlight on, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was something fun like The Martian or Mad Max, which you've got a genre film. You know, I'm a big sci-fi fantasy fan. Genre films tend to get overlooked apart from the technical category, so it's good to see them recognised as in the main nomination categories.
Yeah, I would love Mad Max to win, but I know there's, before we get into Mad Max, I know you'll have something to say about The Big Short, Josh. You hated it.
Yeah, I absolutely despise that film. I think that it is probably the most unfunny, heavy-handed and patronising film I've ever seen.
I disagree. I really disagree about the patronising side of that film. As someone who doesn't understand or didn't understand how the financial crash of 2008, how it happened, I fully understood what had happened by the end of the film. Like, it put it in a way that was extremely easy. And I haven't read, is it Michael, what's his name, Michael Thing's novel? I don't know. But I haven't read his novel. What?
What's his name? The guy who directed Inside Job. So.
No, the guy who wrote the Big Short book. I haven't read his book, but watching the film, I was able to understand everything in a clear way. I don't think, as a film, it was a great film because you didn't have any character progression whatsoever. You weren't emotionally attached to any of the characters. But what it did brilliantly, and I think what it was made to do, was to inform people of just how crazy and ridiculous to let this thing happen.
I don't think you need to treat people like idiots. I wouldn't to do that.
I don't know about
maybe I'm an idiot.
I think it was framed as a kind of lecture and a lesson. I mean, you've had films like Inside Job and Margin Call. We've spoken about this. One of my favourite films. It's a bit more. I don't want to say cerebral, but it's a bit less in your face. Inside Job as well. You've got complicated situations, and you've got to really pay attention and then probably do side reading, etc. But The Big Short just lays it out. You've got Ryan Gosling's character just talking to you, unashamedly wants to get rich, and you've got a lot of the different sides of the financial crash being, bluntly and kind of heavy-handedly laid out to you. But I think that's what it set out to do.
Okay, let's move on to another film. Sinead, have you got a film that you'd really like to talk about out of the list? We've got Mad Max, Room, Spotlight.
For Best Picture still?
Best Picture, yeah, we'll move on to this. I'm just going to check my phone.
Okay. Spotlight would be my number 2, I think, just based on like the strength of the script. I think the dialogue's really kind of fast back and forth, a lot of really interesting issues being discussed, but they still manage, like you were saying with Bridge of Spies, to inject a lot of humour. And you get to know the characters really well, and there's all kinds of subplots going on with the different characters and their families, which is kind of balanced really well considering the enormity of the issue that they're actually discussing in the film.
The Spotlight is a film that I really liked, but I feel it again suffered from the same thing that Big Short suffered from, and that was that holding it in a state of a few months, which is how it happened, wasn't enough to really build on any characters. I think it's a story that really needed to be told, but I'm not sure if it was completely from the right perspective. I'm not sure if the newspaper was maybe the most interesting side to do it from, but It was a good film. I don't rate it as Best Picture. Does anyone want to talk about any more about that? Or Mad Max? Maybe I really want to push for Mad Max.
Mad Max was great.
Funnily enough, Mad Max, it won the Best Picture in our Fact Oscars vote. So
well done, Fact Audience.
yeah, I think
Fact Audience speaks.
that's really. It was by one.
Are we going to show what it
Vote.
is?
It won by one vote
Is
against
that
the
the only
Revenant.
film of the Best Pictures that all of us have seen as well?
Yes, yeah. You can tell it's a good film. I think it's gone on recommendation, hasn't it? Everyone has gone after saying that you've got to see it at the cinema. It's the most amazing thing at the cinema, and I'd really like it if I can push our bookers to get it back again for like a little Oscars screening.
Get it back and let's flipping all come dressed as like flip Armageddon flipping people.
Oh yeah,
Crown mouth albinos.
yeah. Oh, it was incredible,
So
wasn't it?
the director, George Miller, I think they filmed about 1,500 hours of footage. So in terms of, talking about The Revenant as a technical achievement, which I think is being kind of recognised a bit in some of the nominations, the amount of effort they went to make that film.
There must have
even
been
though it's-
choreographed
Yeah, choreography
for years.
vehicles.
For the thing of it, but I mean, even as a whole film to be choreographed, like or storyboarded, is that they must have known everything that was going to happen. And none of that is just thought flippantly. Oh, we'll just throw a thing over this. They've like thought, every single truck, every single like flip and dive has been thought. We're going to do that, and it's incredible. And the female cast as well. I think that's something we've really got to talk about. Charlize Theron is essentially the lead character in Mad Max, whereas Mad Max is literally the passenger on this road race.
Yeah.
Fantastic, really good film, and I wholly think it should win Best Picture. Is there any other things you'd like to talk about in Best Picture while we're still there?
Surprised that Carol didn't get a nod. I don't think it should have done, but I think I was surprised it didn't.
Yeah.
So they've expanded it the last few years to include more than just 5 films, but I think they've got a limit of maybe 12 or 10, but they don't always fill the limit.
Yeah.
So yeah, for them not to just kind of like recognise it.
Critically, critically, it's always like nearly every review I read was the word perfect. Right. It was a beautiful film, really lovingly and powerfully shot. I think another thing where every aspect was thought about, like in every room. There's a scene in Carol where she's talking to the lawyers about her daughter being taken away from her. Or is it a son? I can't remember. I did like the film.
I think it's a daughter.
Daughter, yeah, and then in the background of the shot, you see the typist who's typing up the thing is actually crying.
Right.
Like that's like really, like she's just an extra. Well, it's not just an extra. To all the extras out there, you do everything for the film. You run the film business, but like, she's an extra. But she's putting in like a really emotional performance, like, and you can hardly see it. Like you just look out of shot, and then you see that she's like moved by this woman telling her husband that he can't do this to her and what he's doing is wrong.
I do think it's visually better than what it is dialogue-wise. I think some of the dialogue is clunky, but I think visually, I think that it is beautiful.
Okay, well, let's move on to Best Picture. No, sorry, Best Actor. So for Best Actor, you have Bryan Cranston in Trumbo, Matt Damon in The Martian, Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, Michael Fassbender in Steve Jobs, and Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl. Let's hear first on what you think should not be there in the slightest. Go on then.
I'm going to go right ahead and say Eddie Redmayne should not be nominated for The Danish Girl because as beautiful as he looks as a woman, the film kind of relies on that the whole time. It's just like, how gorgeous does he look with this wig and in this dress? And really all he does is kind of smile sweetly and do some kind of feminine hand gestures and basically enjoys dressing up as a woman, but you don't get any emotion from the character and you don't get any realness, and it feels as if he doesn't know what it is to actually be a woman in the film. So I'd say his performance isn't believable
Yeah, but then he's been critically lauded again. Like, I think a lot of people he came quite close to winning Best Actor in our little thing. I think he was there was a lead, someone who led pretty far ahead in the Best Actor. I'll reveal that later. But Eddie Redmayne was maybe about second for it. So I think there's a lot of people, in fact, who think he was good. But, I don't think any of us have actually seen it.
I watched the first couple of minutes, and what threw me was I didn't watch any more of it. Mainly because I just wasn't gripped. It was supposed to be Copenhagen, 1926. They were all speaking in a kind of received English accents, and I'd read quite a lot about the story being truncated and that they were a lot older in real life. I think the characters, when the transition of Eddie Redmayne's is it Lily was occurring, and they'd kind of kept the characters young, and it's brave to write a story about a character transitioning gender, but then to make them young, perfect and beautiful when they don't need to be, because the story was over a much longer period of time and they didn't speak in Danish accents. I felt maybe there was some problems in there, in that sort of taking away from the truth of the story when that's what they were trying to portray.
Well, one of my friends went to see it, and he said he walked out at the moment that one of the characters said Toodle Pip.
Oh,
and he's like, Toodle Pip in Copenhagen.
It was Tom Hooper who directed it.
Yeah.
He is quite highbrow, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know about highbrow, but he doesn't make films for the everyman, does he?
It's not really highbrow.
That's not highbrow. I think that's
just more like hoity-toity
it's films for the Downton Abbey audience.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
He loves a cast iron centrepiece, doesn't he?
Go on, Josh. You've got to tell us about the person that you think should definitely not win this award, and we're going to tell you why he probably should.
I think Michael Fassbender shouldn't win the award for Steve Jobs.
Go on then.
I think that Michael Fassbender should be nominated, but not for Steve Jobs.
Okay, go on.
What should he be nominated for?
Macbeth.
I think you're right there.
Nice.
He really missed out on that one. But
Yeah.
go on, tell us about Steve Jobs and why not.
It hurts me to talk about this film because
where does Josh start with Steve Jobs?
Josh is a very big Steve Jobs fan, but I think I can start with Steve Jobs. The film I think's great, and I think Michael Fassbender does a really good performance of a man who is a bit wicked and not entirely human towards other people. He's not really accepting of other people's faults, and he delivers this very witty dialogue, very sharply, acerically, and it's a really interesting film. I thought it was really good.
But you knew a lot about Steve Jobs, his story.
Yeah,
so did Steve Jobs, the film, portray the story that you know of Steve Jobs?
Well, it's based
in an untrue way, or
no? I think that the issue is Aaron Sorkin and the director of the issue, because I think that Aaron Sorkin is so in love with his own dialogue that he doesn't necessarily go for accuracy. I think his pitter patter it's always building towards like a quip or something like that or something, which is kind of like it's walking talking, isn't it? Walking talking Aaron Sorkin.
That's great. I'll use that in the next.
And what about the director, Danny Boyle? Is that?
I think that it's obviously similar, isn't it? Because I've got Hammy and Carl punching our way towards to see it.
Breaking the fourth wall.
That's what it is. I think it worked with The Social Network because I think that Fincher is a damn sight better than Danny Boyle. I think Fincher is as much in love with himself as what Aaron Sorkin is in love with himself. So I think it's like two kind of egocentrics coming together and accepting each other so they come to a middle ground. Whereas I think that Danny Boyle it seems like he's kowtowed a little bit to Sorkin's dialogue.
Well, I disagree.
Sticking
with the acting.
But he was great in Macbeth, and you think he should have been.
I think he should be nominated, but I think the person
terrifying.
I think the person who has got a hell of a good case of winning this thing, and I don't think he will, but I think he's got a damn good case of winning it, is Damon.
He carries The Martian. He does carry.
Single-handedly, he carries that film.
Well, tell us why.
There's a good like 2/3 of that film where he's on his own, and it's kind of him talking to the camera, and it's just he is funny, he is engaging. His performance
Do you
is.
think, was he deserved of Best Actor in a Comedy or Musical?
I don't get
Those.
what did you say, Stokes? It's like the best catch competition that
Best
place.
catch competition. Golden Globes. You just throw those awards out to anyone. I think Stallone got one. They're just throwing them out there.
Well,
so whoever can grab
Stallone
it.
could get Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars as well, though.
Yeah, he shouldn't.
He could. I think he might do as well.
So who wants to talk about Bryan Cranston in Trumbo?
Unfortunately.
I can't wait to see it. I've been looking forward to it for ages. Last year, I was like, that's definitely going to get a nod for Best Picture, and all the Leo, can he chase an Oscar down? Check out Red Carpet Rampage browser game, very worthwhile.
He's right. It's the most fun I've had on the internet for a while.
It is good.
Um,
I've seen The Revenant, and I kind of know enough about the story of Trumbo to know that I'm going to enjoy that performance and get more out of that performance than I did with, say, Leo's in The Revenant. But
I have seen Trumbo, and I think he does a very moving and interesting performance. He's a parent of children that are holding secrets for him. He's a writer who's up against the whole government, and he does it with all this kind of frantic stress of the Malcolm in the Middle character Hal, and all the domineering power of Walter White. It's a really good performance, and it's nice that it is, although it does seem a little like you're watching Bryan Cranston as Dalton Trumbo, it's still a brand new character. I think he does deserve some recognition for it, but are we maybe all in agreement that Leonardo DiCaprio should win?
I think this year, I think with who's in the category, I think it's probably his year.
How did you enjoy him in The Revenant?
I liked him in it. I mean, I thought it was a good performance, but I think like any actor could have pulled that off. Being like, crawling through the mud and being all like distressed. I don't think it was like a standout, amazing performance, but I think he carried it.
Do you think he was supported by a brilliant cast, a brilliant supporting cast?
I think he was, yeah, but he was also supported by like the actual environment and like a lot of the stuff he did in it, like getting in that lake and stuff like that, which I don't know whether you call that acting, but like...
Could you have done that?
Give him enough money, I reckon he could do it.
Tell you what, I'd eat some raw bison liver.
It's strange that people made a big fuss about that. It's just a piece of meat, and he's getting paid a lot for it. Go on then, Best Actress, everyone. We've got Cate Blanchett for Carol, Brie Larson for Room, Jennifer Lawrence for Joy, Charlotte Rampling for 45 Years, and Saoirse Ronan for Brooklyn. And you might need to
I'm going to pop out,
I'm afraid. Sorry, we're losing Tom for a little bit because
Is he going to have this raw bison liver?
he's got to turn some lights off in the box, and we're running over a little bit. So, Best Actress. Let's go with the best one because I don't think any of these don't deserve to win this award.
I'd love to see Brie Larson win it for Room, personally. Great performance, great relationship that she's established with the young actor Jacob Tremblay, who I'm a little bit surprised wasn't nominated here. He's been recognised elsewhere. Again, carries the film, even when the story changes, moves away from Room itself. I think what she does, it just takes you on the journey of that character.
Yeah, I don't think my heart's ever beat faster than watching that film. What did you make of it, Sinead?
I haven't seen it.
Not seen it.
No.
Wrong person to ask.
Sorry.
I think she's a more than deserving winner if she does win it. I think of that group, I think that she's I'd have no gripe with her winning.
Apparently she locked herself away for a month maybe it was a month or so just to get into the character of someone who isn't talking to people. And maybe she didn't wash. Did a shower above.
Yeah, maybe.
Did a shower.
Commitment.
Not shower.
Yeah, no, she's great. And the relationship she built with Jacob Tremblay, the child, I think you couldn't question that wasn't a mother and a son almost. Their relationship was so tight. Oh, and return this time. We're talking about Room, Brie Larson in Room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
She was great in that. Like, she was amazing. Just couldn't fault that performance. I think it was just a great performance from her. Yeah.
Well, another faultless performance was Kate Blanchett in Carol. Who's seen that again?
Yeah.
You don't think?
I'd argue for Kate for the win. I think Kate Blanchett's always amazing in whatever she does, and she's a bit of a chameleon as well, because she's such a blank canvas. And I think her character is quite difficult to play in Carol, because she's kind of, from the outside, she seems quite cold, because she is kind of like this older woman, and she's got a lot to lose based on this relationship. But when you kind of get into the heart of what's going on between her and Rooney Mara's character, I think you see a lot of different layers to the character she's portraying, and it's a really believable and beautiful relationship that kind of comes out of that.
There's I think with actors, one of the things that's most interesting is when you can actually see them think, but they're not thinking about what they're doing, they're thinking as the character, and there's so much pain behind her eyes in that film. It's just like, I'm even feeling it right now, that kind of welling up of like just looking at her when she's just talking to her child or talking to someone that's not involved, and she's holding it all back. It's really beautiful and sort of performance. Jennifer Lawrence in Joy, anyone?
I haven't seen it.
I saw it.
Go on, Tom.
Didn't like it. I think it was literally just like her on display, showing how she can act. And
Yeah.
I don't know, David O. Russell over the past few years, it just seems to be like, his films just seem to be like cannon fodder for the Oscars.
Yeah.
With like American Hustle, like Silver Linings Playbook, and like now Joy, and it just seems like he's churning these films out for the Oscars. The fighter was good, yeah.
The fighter was good, but
Do you think he might have been caught out now? Because he hasn't really received many
he's
Oscar nods for this. It's just Jennifer Lawrence. So surely her performance must have.
I think she's like a fan favourite there at the Oscars. She's kind of like the golden girl there. Like
everyone loves Jennifer Lawrence, and as I always say, me.
I don't love her.
I don't love her.
I don't get it.
No.
I don't get the fuss.
Like, I haven't seen Winter's Bone. Apparently, you see Winter's Bone.
Yeah, she's good in that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, apparently see that and it changes things. Okay, Charlotte Rampling in 45 Years.
She's very good at it. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think that. I think the dialogue doesn't help her with it. It's quite hard to kind of. It's quite rigid. I understand that she was very good in the film, but I don't think it was a necessary.
This was the Guardian's best film of the year.
Well, of course it was.
Why is that?
Well, it's the Guardian, isn't it?
What does that mean, Josh?
Well, they're
It's
going
older-
to their
it's
readership.
an older white
older
British,
demographic, isn't it? White British demographic.
I'd put that more down to maybe like the Daily Mail.
No, I don't.
Yeah, but then there's the thoughtfulness of
Yeah.
the 45 years, which doesn't occur in the Daily Mail.
Alright, let's move on to Saoirse Ronan in Brooklyn. No one's seen it.
I did try and watch it. I know people who have seen it, and similarly to what you said about Kate Blanchett's character in Carol, they feel what the character feels. She acts the situation she's going through. She's been torn apart by what she wants, what her family's got, things that are happening far from where she is and far from home.
But she's not going to win.
I don't think so.
Well, maybe we should just say.
Which is great to see.
Maybe we should just say who the best actress and best actor were on the Fact Oscars vote.
Ooh.
So, any guesses for best actor?
DiCaprio.
It's got to be Leo.
Yeah, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Well done. You've won your first Oscar, Leonardo DiCaprio. It is a Fact Oscar though. So not really got a £200,000 gift bag for you. And best actress?
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson should have
In Brie Larson?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Kate Blanchett.
Wait.
Yeah, Blanchett. Kate Blanchett, she won the Fact Oscars, but I've got to say that Jennifer Lawrence in Joy and Brie Larson were neck and neck tied. So, I really didn't want, when I was counting them, I really didn't want every joy that I counted. It felt like a knife in my heart. So Tom, let's talk about the film that you think was neglected from the Oscars.
I'm going to go with Macbeth on this one.
Okay, why is that?
Really?
I thought, like, out of that and Steve Jobs, I thought, like, Fassbender's performance in that was way better. I thought it was just an amazingly shot film. It was grim, it was brutal, it just looked amazing. I'm not really, like, I wouldn't really call myself a thespian of Shakespeare or whatever, but, you know, I really enjoyed it, and
The music,
the
boss,
music was amazing.
boss.
But I think that was really overlooked.
Yeah, I think it put Macbeth in a really. It was kind of what Romeo and Juliet did in the 90s. I think for
Yeah.
that, it was something that I think young people will go out and see that and think, cool.
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope it's kind of opening the doors, more people to getting to know that.
Yeah. I think if I was studying Macbeth at school, I'd be jumping in to see Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard act. Josh, there's definitely a film for you that you think was missed out.
Sicario, I think it's a no-brainer. I think anybody, I know that you all know that I need.
Go on, why? Tell us why you don't.
It is, as we said before, I know that you haven't seen it yet. You said before about your heart doesn't beat as fast as when you're watching a room. You need to watch Sicario. There's I think there's a lot of films at the moment which you just kind of fodder. There's like fodder scenes where just like it's filling. Every single second of that film means and counts for something. And I think it's as tight a film as I've ever seen. The music's brilliant, the performance is brilliant. It's very, very much underappreciated. But it's again, I think the Academy they should be kind of appreciated to kind of like Mad Max and films that come out in the summer or like late or earlier in the year. But Sicario definitely missed the boat on this one.
Okay, and you had Tangerine.
I really enjoyed Tangerine. It's a technical achievement, not necessarily on par with The Revenant, but it's filmed all on iPhone. It's about a community in, I think, Los Angeles. There's transgender roles which are maybe more realistic than something like The Danish Girl, which is kind of prestige and period drama and plastered over. So there was a visceral element to it. It meandered to start with, but then came together really well at the end. And one of the supporting performances got me emotionally as much as anything else I'd seen in the year. And I think in terms of not being recognised at all. I was disappointed not to see it.
I'm not surprised that it's not been recognised because I don't think it was a great film, but it was one of my favourites of the year. And I can see why with the kind of shaky grittiness of it, it was a bit indie maybe for the Oscars to appreciate it. But that's no reason why they shouldn't, definitely.
I know, you've got so many different awards, from the Independent Spirit Awards through to Writers, Producers, Directors Guild Awards. So the Oscars is, I guess, supposed to be the best of the best or whatever. I really enjoyed it. So emotionally, it got me as much as any other film I've seen this year.
Okay. And then Shane, you was on the Sicario team as well, or was there something else?
Definitely agree about Sicario, and I think it's really shocking that Emily Blunt wasn't nominated for Best Actress for it, because originally I read that role was actually written for a man, and she fought really hard to be cast in the role and to prove that characters shouldn't really write stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she's kind of one of the few women in the film, if not the only woman. So I think it's really important, like the kind of story of how she convinced the studio it was important to put a woman in such a strong female role.
Do you know what? I think the reason why it works for me, she isn't, how she hasn't been nominated, I do not know.
Yeah.
But I think that it would have been so easy for them to make a gung-ho kind of like a strong woman going in and just sorting everything out. Like, it's such a realistic portrayal, as in kind of there's a scene in a traffic jam, and it is the most real kind of thing that I've seen on film for a long, long time.
Cool.
And she was incredible. I completely agree.
All right. Well, let's wrap that up there. Thanks for watching. I hope we've had some insights into the films of this year, and we'll have to see if any of our suggestions will be taken into account at the Oscars next week.
Are you listening, Academy?
So watch out for the Big Blanket podcast, out every week on SoundCloud and iTunes. Sometimes some of these lovely people go on it and give me a little reviews or tell me what's going on in the cinema. So yeah, listen out for it. Thanks for watching. Bye.